Hey, how you doing? Today we're making some Italian tomato sauce. All right, I'm just kidding, but we are making tomato sauce, and as you can see, use a lot of fresh vegetables, and I also use turkey sausage for this. So starting with one green pepper, one 16-ounce tub of sliced tomatoes, mushrooms, 3 cloves of garlic, 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. You're also going to use these herbs of Italy. I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of this. Next, we're going to use 1 large can of crushed tomatoes. Those are my favorite type of tomatoes for sauce. I'm also going to use a 1/4 cup of red wine, which will deglaze the pan. And then we're also going to add sugar to help sweeten up the tomato sauce, as well as some heavy cream, which will also lighten the tomato sauce and thicken it up as well. Salt, pepper, of course, and finally some fresh oregano that I use for serving. I also like to cut up some fresh bread and serve that with the pasta as well. Now that we know what we're doing, let's get started. So you can see I poured about 2 teaspoons of olive oil to the bottom of the pot, and to that I'm going to add my crumbled sausage.
And then you crumble up some hot Italian sausage and some sweet Italian sausage. I used turkey sausage for this recipe just to make it healthier, and also I don't eat pork. So once I put it in there, I'm just going to brown the sausage in the oil. It helps to continuously stir the sausage up and break it apart into more of a ground meat texture instead of having big chunks of meat. So just keep stirring and stirring and stirring. After continuously stirring, you'll end up with brown sausage. You take it out of the pot and then you start building your other ingredients. Put in the mushrooms and the onions and cook those down for approximately 7 minutes. You can see it's bubbling nicely, and you just keep stirring it around every few minutes. Get those onions cooked down and those mushrooms cooked down. Once they've been cooking for a few minutes, you add tomato paste and then keep stirring it around to distribute the tomato paste among the onions and the mushrooms. Once I have the tomato paste incorporated, I add 3 cloves of garlic and then keep stirring it around. You want the garlic just to cook for a minute or two. You don't want it to get overcooked. It burns very easily. Now we're going to add about a 1/4 cup of red wine. You just want to basically use it to deglaze the pan and wipe up any of the little brown bits at the bottom of the pan. Just keep stirring it around after you do this. Now we add a tablespoon of our Italian herb seasonings. Get that tablespoon in there. You can see I was having a little difficulty pouring it in, so I took the top off, makes it much easier. Tablespoon of dried herbs. The dried herbs hold up much better than the fresh herbs for a long cook or a pressure cook. So definitely use the dry over the fresh in this situation.
At this point, you're going to add your turkey sausage back into the pan and stir that around to get it married with all the vegetables and the herbs as well.
And now I chop up a green pepper, cut it into pretty decent sized chunks, throw it in there with everything else, and keep stirring it around one more time before we add our tomato sauce. Now we can't have a red sauce without adding sauce, so now 1 can of crushed tomatoes are added in. I like using the crushed tomatoes. They're thicker than tomato sauce and easier to work with the whole tomatoes. So stir it one more time, get everything in there. Now we're going to add our salt, pepper, and sugar. You're going to end up using about a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper and 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of sugar. So our salt, pepper, and sugar have been added, and now we just stir it up one more time, get everything incorporated in there, and then we're going to put our lid on top and pressure cook it for 20 minutes on high. I let the sauce sit for about 10 minutes before doing a release. You can see there wasn't much steam left at this point. I don't like doing a quick release whenever I'm cooking meat because it dries it out a little bit. So now it's just a matter of taking the lid off, and then you're just going to stir it around one more time. You can see it's nice and bubbly at this point. So stir it for another minute or two, and then the last thing we're going to do is add some heavy cream to it to kind of, make it a little bit less tomato saucy. So I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of heavy cream and then just stir it around, get the cream incorporated into the sauce. It makes it a little thicker as well, which is always nice. So you can see I like a nice thick chunky sauce. That's kind of what I like to put in my pasta, but that's just my personal preference. So basically the sauce is now done, and what I like to do is cook a pound of penne pasta
the entire box, and I put that inside with the sauce and just stir it so it's all incorporated. And now serve the pasta with some fresh Parmesan cheese as well as some oregano for those that want it. This is a great meal for kids and adults alike and will provide plenty of leftovers the next day or two.